I'm Mil Hurley. You're watching Points of Horticulture. Well, now that winter is really holding us in, it's time to be looking at your houseplants. How are they? Are they feeling okay? Do they look okay? Well, we are with a wonderful, talented gal who is the houseplant guru to tell us all about how to take care of our plants. We came all the way out to Livonia. Lisa Steinkopf is our guest today, and Lisa's website is called theplantguru.com.
The Houseplant Guru.
I beg your pardon, thehouseplantguru.com.
Yes.
And Lisa married into the Steinkopf nursery family. A lot of you recognize that name. They're in Farmington Hills, and then her husband's uncle has Steinkopf Nursery, who we see down at Eastern Market.
Right.
So your name, we know very well.
Yes.
And I thank you for letting us come to your house.
Thank you so much.
Lisa.
I'm so glad you came. I got it clean. My husband's real happy too.
Oh my gosh.
I always do more cleaning when people are coming.
Oh, well, we all do that.
Yes, yes.
We all do that. And you have a fabulous assortment of plants.
Yes.
And this time of year, we really are wondering, what do I do? Because we notice the days are getting longer, the light's getting a little bit stronger, the plants are starting to perk up, but yet there's still a lot of questions out there. And I think we'll start first with what is becoming popular again, terrariums.
Terrariums are back.
Yeah, remember
this is actually Mom's from like 1970, and I said, Mom, I don't remember what she had in it, but I stole it from her.
This container.
The container, yes.
And terrariums can have a top on them, or they can have the top off.
Right.
It just depends on the plant that lives inside.
It's really, if it gets too, like there's some, I don't know if you can see that, there's some moisture on this.
Yes.
And so if it gets too moist, your plants will, they'll get rotten.
Yeah,
and
sure.
This actually has a begonia in it that if it had more light would bloom, but it does bloom once in a while. And then I have moss that I just gathered from outside. It was green, but now it's a little brown.
Brown, probably for this winter.
Right.
So the most important piece of information if you want to do a terrarium is
make sure that it's really watching it when you first plant it, and then you water it, and then you put the top on. You're going to have to watch it for at least, because I learned that from this one, especially. I just made this up, and I've lost a few plants because I went away for a couple of weeks and had just left the top on.
Right.
Well, if I had been home, I would have taken it off and given it some air, because it got too wet and it got some of the plants died and they got moldy.
Okay.
So you kind of have to, for the few, until you get it that perfect balance,
right?
You're going to have to watch it, take it off, take it on, put it on. It's not just but this one, I don't think I've had this top off on this one or that one. I'm not lying, probably 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
So,
and this one, the cool thing about a terrarium, it can just be one plant in a jar like this one.
Right. And this is a Syningia, which is in the African violet family. So it does bloom if it had a little more light. So, but you can't put them in full sun though, because then they'll burn.
All right. So that's
they'll bake.
It's important to know where the plant likes to live.
Yes.
But then it's important that if you have a lot of plants that they all require the same light and water, right?
And the same care. Yes. You can't have a water plant in here, something that wants to be wet all the time. And a lot of people put cactuses in them now.
Oh,
which
okay.
I don't understand who came up with that. Let's put a cactus or a succulent in a terrarium because it's too moisture retentive.
I see.
But people do it.
Yeah.
So, but if you're going to do succulents or cactus, they better all be succulent or cactus, and you would never put the top on a succulent or cactus.
And another thing we won't get into today, though, is the whole issue of how you layer the soil or the soilless mix or whatever, right?
I don't use any layers.
Oh, you just put
no,
all
I
the
don't.
same
It's
thing.
all soil. That's right.
Oh, is it potting soil?
It is potting soil. Well, I mix my own soil, but it's
a well-drained,
well-drained potting soil
Okay.
because water doesn't move easily from small air pores that are in soil into the rocks. People put rocks on the bottom, and they have big air spaces between them.
Right.
Water doesn't move easily between those two things. So
big
really,
to little.
That's
right.
Or little to big.
Yeah, right.
So really, putting drainage in there is doing no good.
Okay.
No.
But
Same as in containers. I never put drainage in containers either.
Oh, okay
No.
then. See, the houseplant guru will give you her tips that work for her.
Right.
Now, we have, of course, not only green plants, but lovely leaf colors. This is a wonderful begonia.
Yes.
Which I think is a wonderful plant. It doesn't need a lot of sunlight, right?
No, no.
It can take, if you have a shady
and not
corner.
a lot of water either. Really, begonias, especially this is a Rex begonia. Begonias are almost treat them like you do succulents. They're very fleshy. They hold a lot of moisture in them, in their leaves and in their stems, and a lot of them have rhizomes in their rhizomes.
Yes.
So you have to treat them like a succulent. And I'm the same. I overwater them too.
Overwater mine. That's why it's rotted at home right now.
They want to be treated almost like a succulent.
Okay, that's the Rex begonia, which we all love. And who is this beauty?
This is an Aglaonema.
How do you spell that?
A-G, look at me.
I know.
A-G-L-A-O-N-E-M-A. Aglaonema, really.
Okay.
And they used to be just the plant that you saw everywhere in every office building, and they were green and maybe have a few speckles on them. Boring plant. I mean, I don't think any plant's boring, but not anything you'd stop in your tracks. Well, now they've hybridized them to be pinks and reds, and even this is an Aglaonema.
Really?
Same. They're both Aglaonemas. This is like a strap-leafed, and it's kind of new. I always put tags in your thing.
Yeah.
This is called White Lance.
White lance. Well, that makes
And
sense.
it's lance-shaped, right.
And it
who would
does
think that these were the same
same family, because
Yes.
it is so different. What kind of light conditions do these plants like?
If it's a variegated plant or a colored plant, it's going to need a little more light.
Okay.
So I put this would do great in an east window. It does well. I have it in a west window, probably about 3 or 4 feet from the window. Perfect. This one's with less because it's more green.
Yes.
This is more like about 6 feet from my west window, and it's doing great.
Lisa, that is important, isn't it? I know you need to know about east or west. Of course, east means the sun's rising. If you are not sure about,
A lot of people don't know that. Oh no.
Yeah. So if you've got a living room that has the morning sun, that's your east. If you have like the kitchen gets the afternoon sun, that's the west. Unless it's like south. South and west sun is the hottest sun.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to know that. And then like Lisa's saying, if some of these plants could be 6 feet away from the window, that's pretty good.
And still look
as opposed to like you have here in the kitchen, you've got plants that are right up against the window.
Right.
So you need to know and understand that. Sometimes it takes you learning by putting this there, and maybe the leaves start to turn brown, and it's like, ooh, it's burning, right? The sun's burning.
And a lot of times if I have a plant that's not looking all that great, I have light stands, one in the basement, one upstairs, that I put my African violets on and some other plants. And if I have a plant that's not looking all that great, I'll put it under some light. Get it, because maybe you want to put this in a dark spot. Maybe you want to put it on the mantle in your living room, and when company's coming, and then you leave it there and it's starting to look a little sad. Then you can either move it back to a light place or maybe put it into a light stand if you have one.
Because that's usually what the plant is telling you, especially in the wintertime, right?
Yes, definitely.
When our light is so weak and not very strong. Although February, we're starting to see the light come again. But y'all have got to know some of these things to have success. But as Lisa will tell you, and I'm the same way, you don't know until you kill the plant that, I have to try it a little bit differently next time.
Because I want to talk about succulents a little bit. I just got this at a trade show in Florida. It was a gift. They were giving out gifts.
Love it.
Everybody loves succulents.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? I mean, they're just amazing. They look like roses. They're just so many different, and I do love them. There's a lot of succulents.
Yeah.
But in Michigan, succulents in the winter suffer horribly because we don't have enough sun. And if you're on Facebook or you're on all these Pinterest sites, I swear all those people live in California or Arizona, and they have the most beautiful succulents. And we think here in Michigan, we can do that. It's in their house. Well, yeah, but maybe it was on their patio. Yeah, but it's on the patio all year long. And then we bring this in, and it gets really long and stretches and So my thing is, it's okay if you could put them under lights. Or put them in your west window. Give them as much light as you can.
All right.
And don't water them a lot.
Yes, I know that.
But there's also succulents. This is also a succulent. This is Haworthia.
How do you spell that?
Haworthia. Haworthia. So I used to think it was without the Haworthia, but it's Haworthia.
Okay.
And this is actually called limifolia, and it's a fairy washboard because it has really cool texture.
Yes, it does.
It does. So they call it a fairy washboard. It's good for fairy gardens. But it takes, Haworthias don't like a lot of light. If you put them in too much light, they're going to turn red. And they're going to kind of shrivel up because it's just too much light for them. They're trying to protect themselves. So really, if you want to have a succulent in Michigan, this is perfect. A Haworthia. And there's a lot of different Haworthias. This is just one of them.
Lisa, and speaking of that, where in the world, I know we've got some of our local nurseries in Grosse Pointe who will have some houseplants, some of the more ones common, I should say.
Right.
Where in the world do you find something like this?
Well, my favorite place is a little greenhouse, and it's kind of a secret, not a secret, but it's not.
Not
they
anymore,
they don't advertise a lot. It's called Gray's Greenhouse in Plymouth, and it's GRAYE''S, Gray's Greenhouse.
Okay.
They have been there probably as long as Steinkoff's, if not longer, and it's family owned, and they have the most unusual succulents, a lot of fairy plants, just really cool. Unusual plants. Just a little family-owned nursery. It's fun to go to. So that's in Plymouth by the airport. On the corner of Joy and Lily.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right.
And then my other go-tos are always been Telly's and Goldner Walsh.
All right. Telly's Nursery is right in Troy at Big Beaver and John R.
John R. Yes.
Telly's Nursery, been there many times.
Yes, they have the best.
And
then now
Goldner Walsh.
But Telly's is
Goldner Walsh.
Telly's at Goldner Walsh.
And
But that's a little closer for me.
Yeah, for you, but for us in Grosse Pointe, Telly's is actually going to be closer. And Goldner Walsh is out in Pontiac, fabulous old nursery that Telly's is working with now. So anyway, those are three, and Steinkoff's Nursery in Farmington Hills.
Yes, you go there for all your landscaping.
Yes.
But we don't carry houseplants.
Okay, you
but
don't.
all your landscape needs, yes,
yeah,
of
okay,
course.
all right. We'll do a little plug.
All your outdoor plants.
Well, anyway, this guy would be great, then you're saying, for a shady house.
Or just, just
something.
if you don't have a lot of light,
Yeah.
and you're like, what can I grow? Then you can grow this.
And you don't water this Haworthia very often?
No, I don't.
Right? It's like a succulent.
But I'm going to tell you that when you do water a houseplant, even if it's a succulent, when you're just thinking, well, maybe I should just give it a little bit of water.
Yes.
Every plant should always be watered until the water runs out the bottom.
Okay.
And it may be 3 months again before you water this, or whatever, however long it is before it's dry again. And then, if you've watered this plant all the way through, then maybe it would need water again in a week.
And
it's
Lisa,
just the point is you want it to draw the oxygen out of the air, and the water comes all the way through.
It's very important to make sure that way you really watered it well and deeply.
Yeah. But don't let it sit in water.
Correct. Now, what's this guy? This is an old-fashioned.
This is a philodendron, which you guys all probably know as heartleaf philodendron, but this is called Brazil, so it's variegated.
Okay.
But I love philodendron. If you just have the solid green one, you could put it practically in a closet, and it's going to live for you. It's going to give you some green. It's going to clean your air. And it's better than plastic. Anything's better than plastic. So, but this is called Brazil. I love variegated plants. So when this came out, that was I just love it. But it will still grow, but it's going to need more light to keep the variegation.
If it's a variegated leaf. Right. But if you get the solid green philodendron, you can put that anywhere, like you're saying, like on a bookcase.
Right.
But Lisa, does this philodendron needs more water than a Haworthia?
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
Yes, yes.
So all right,
I stick my finger in it.
I was going to say, I use a bamboo skewer.
Yes.
Let's go into your tools.
Or this.
What is
this?
That?
Is called, I had a red one that was better. This is called a soil sleuth. And it's see how it has the notches out of it?
Yeah, sure.
So you stick it in, and it goes all the way, especially good for big plants.
Yes.
It goes all the way to the bottom. And then you're going to
hold
bring
that
it
up
out,
there. Yeah.
and you have a chunk of soil here.
Right.
So now you're going to say, oh, well, it's still wet at the bottom, so now I don't need to water it. But maybe it's going to be dry. Because especially with a really big plant, you don't know what's going on way down there.
Right.
So it's good to know. And so I just
you
put this
need to get it all the way down. Now, is that truly a tool that you would find with the houseplant section?
Yes.
And what
I
is
got
it
this
called
at a
again?
show. Well, I use the soil sleuth. It's a red one, but I don't know if this is called a soil sleuth, but that you could definitely find that.
All right. But
you could find it online too.
The key is that you just don't think, you push the top and say, that's dry, I don't need to water.
You have no idea what's going on
way down low.
There.
It could be still real wet.
That's
what else? Let's talk about some more of your tools now while we're on this.
Well, this isn't really a tool, but it's kind of a tip.
Yes.
This, so it's dry here in Michigan, right? So you bring in your plants and you get an attack of spider mites. Spider mites like dry plants. And they're those little webbing you're going to see, or they'll mottle your leaf because they're sucking the juices out.
Yes.
So how do you keep it? People are like, well, I'm going to mist it. Misting is useless. You're just putting, it's not useless for air plants, but for every other house plant, you're just putting moisture onto your leaves, which then can cause disease to, you know, because once you have water sitting on leaves and the
Yes,
right
it'll
conditions,
just,
it
yeah.
could make powdery
Rotted,
mildew or
right. Bacteria.
So the best
okay.
thing to do is to get a tray. This is a, you know,
Just a
just a
plastic
plastic
saucer,
saucer.
right. Or
I
you-
got pebbles in it.
Okay.
I'm going to pour water in it until it's just, well, that's a little too much, but.
Well, that's all right. But,
All right,
the
but
point
anyway,
is,
the point is, and then you're going
have
to
a
take
lot
your
of
plant.
water.
Yeah. This one does have a saucer. This has a built-in saucer.
Okay.
So you're just going to sit it on there. It's not sitting in water, but that water is evaporating and giving this plant
some
humidity.
right around the
Right,
plant, which
exactly.
as opposed to when we think, oh, let's miss that because that'll give it humidity.
Right.
You're
but it's
suggesting
just for,
you
that
do
lasts for a
this.
couple minutes, you know, the
Right.
misting. Whereas this is,
Right.
you keep filling it, it's going to give it moisture all the time.
And would you do that? You wouldn't necessarily have to do that, say, on a
No,
succulent. You
no.
really want to keep humidity around, like maybe a begonia.
Definitely begonia. Your
Okay.
ferns, definitely
Oh,
ferns.
Speaking
So I'm
of
just showing you.
ferns, let's. I know we're talking. Well, we'll talk about ferns in a minute. So let's finish up about other tools that you use. What is this?
Oh, paintbrush. This is especially good for African violets or any fuzzy leafed plants.
Oh.
Gets the dirt off.
Oh, honey, all that dust that we
All
have
that
in our
dust.
houses.
Oh, we don't have any dust. Yeah, okay. And then this is, I have a lot of cactus that have big
Yes.
spines on them,
Ooh.
and they lose a leaf, you know, and or like a crown of thorns,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm not reaching in there. I'm not reaching in there to get
That's
that.
how you
So you
clean
reach in there and
that.
you
with
can
a
get
pair
your-
of tongs.
Yeah, the big pair of tongs, or just tongs, but these are like big tweezers. I think I got them at the hobby shop.
Ah, what a
So,
great idea.
yeah.
So some big tweezers to
Yeah.
get into something especially spiky, just for cleaning purposes.
Just to get it in there, and you're not breaking anything. You're
Right.
just getting that
And you're not
dead leaf
poking
out.
yourself.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So tweezers,
Paintbrushes.
paintbrushes for cleaning off leaves. If you
Yes.
don't, of course you can on a big leaf like
Yes,
this, you can
yes.
just take a rag.
I do,
and
yeah,
wipe
or
it.
a paper towel.
And it's very important, isn't it, to dust your plants because
Oh,
when
yes.
you leave them dusty, they aren't able to collect the light, right?
That's correct, and that's photosynthesis is what they do to make their food. Everybody's like, well, if I have a sick plant, I'm going to fertilize it. No, you do never fertilize a sick plant or think that that's going to help a plant. The only thing that gives your plant food is the sun. The sun is its food. Fertilizer are vitamins. And you know, do the plants in the woods get vitamins? Not really, but they have a lot of decomposing leaves that are giving them nutrients, but you don't really have to fertilize if you don't want to. I do, but I'm not the best, most consistent person to fertilize.
And you have a lot of healthy plants in this house. You got a lot of
I do
plants.
have a lot
Okay.
of plants. So,
All right. So any other tools that
Oh,
you find helpful?
okay, my thing is if you have a plant and you have a pot, it better have a drainage hole in it. So if you don't have a drainage hole, I make one.
Okay.
So maybe you find something, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not. This was $3 at a garage sale.
Yeah.
But it's antique and it's pretty. But
Yeah.
if I want to put a plant in it, I'm going to get my...
Really, Lisa? You wouldn't even just, if you
I
didn't
will.
want to drill a hole, you wouldn't just put some pebbles in the bottom of
remember
it?
we said the pebbles.
All right.
I don't think
okay.
that works.
All right.
No, I wouldn't. I would get this. This is a diamond drill bit. I got it at one of the, at
The
a
hardware
Draco
store,
hardware
right?
store.
A
It was kind of
diamond?
expensive, but it's kind of dirty now because it's gone. I've used it so much, but it's
Yeah.
got diamonds up here, little diamond.
Girl.
And you
can
put
make
it
a
on your
ring
drill.
out of it.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You have to put, you have to make sure it stays wet. So you got to keep spraying it with a spray bottle while
Okay.
you're drilling it.
Okay.
And it will drill a hole just like nobody's
Nothing.
business.
And you just put that at the end of a power
a regular drill.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And just drill a hole. So then you have a hole, and then I forgot to bring my screen up here, but I always put I put something over the hole.
Right.
A piece of screen. I just bought a big roll of screen at the hardware store, and I cut it up in little pieces, and I put it over so that the water can get out, but the soil doesn't fall
Right.
out.
Okay. So
Right.
if you don't have some leftover screen, like you're fixing your screen door, what else could you use? I've read coffee filter, 'cause
paper towel.
Yeah.
But I found the coffee filter. It doesn't let the water through fast enough for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
I try to use. I like the screen a lot better.
Okay. All right.
That's just
so, all right.
just a thought.
And then
Oh, and I always make sure I have them tagged because when people ask me what they are, I'm like,
forget.
I don't remember.
I know,
So,
you
but
gotta
I like to
keep-
write where how much I paid for it, where
Oh, really?
when I got it. Like I got this from Telly's. Actually, it was a gift from my friend. But
Okay.
She got it at Telly's.
So you would write the year that you received it, at least
because then I know
That's
how long I've
fun.
kept it alive.
Well, and speaking
or how long
of
it took me
that,
to clean it or kill it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Speaking of that and age, back here you have a wonderful fern. Now tell us about this.
Well, this is one of the ferns, but I have a bigger fern out there, and this one are both from my grandmother. And the one that I have out there, and you can see it on my website as well, I wrote about it.
theHouseplantGuru.com. Okay.
It is a fern that my mom got a piece of at her wedding shower in 1957 from my great-grandmother. And then now I have a piece. She's given pieces to everybody. And we still have them. So I've had it I've been married 30 years, so I've had it over 30 years. And this is one that was at Grandma's house too, so I don't know how old this one is, but I probably had it 30 years as well. So.
And is this a Boston fern?
This is a Boston fern, yeah.
Which is a pretty common fern, easy to find, even at the big box stores.
Yes, and this is probably, because it's so ruffled, it's probably a different, it's not just the Boston fern, it's just
something a little different.
Something different, but they're all the same.
Pretty. How do you take care of a fern, especially this time of year? Because I see some brown in here.
You know what? This is what I tell people. Everybody's like, I don't bring my Boston fern in because it gets brown, it drops fronds, it drops little pieces. I don't care. I clean them up. It's from Grandma. It's 30 years old. It's going to have brown. It is what it is, and it's worth it to me. So. And then, sometimes I'll take it out in the spring and transplant it because they start getting leggy. They kind of start getting tall. You can just take it out and, kind of plant it down in there, plant it in a little further, and it comes right back. And
then for in the house in the winter, fern is one that really likes that humidity.
You would want to put it on a
doing the pebble tray with water is really important. What do you do, Lisa, because I think this time of year in February, when the light is getting longer and stronger, the plants are starting to grow a little bit, or they look just so terrible. This is still not the time yet to do some hard pruning on the plants, right? Really wait till
I would say March. Yes, March is when it really starts. I'm seeing some new growth on here because the days are getting longer, but more March, that's when you're going to repot your plants, up-pot your plants. Prune them.
Do any
divide them exactly. Give them fresh soil.
So just try and wait just a couple more weeks. You can always check out on Lisa's. You have a blog.
I have a blog, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm always doing something.
Yeah. So if you go to theHouseplantGuru.com, Lisa's always talking about her plants. But the point is even with the fern. Wait, don't start doing big pruning yet.
No, not yet.
Try and learn to give the plant the right environment.
Right. It is all about. There's a plant for every place.
There is in there.
Even if it's a dark corner, like I said, you can always put a plant in there. Let it. Maybe you'll have two of the same thing. Put one there when it starts maybe looking a little sad because it's too dark. Move it back into the other, to a more light, into a better environment.
That's a good idea.
Maybe in a bedroom where no one sees it.
Right.
And then put the other plant that was there, that's looking good.
That makes you look like you're always successful with your plants.
There's tricks,
Yeah. What's this other plant that's back here that's so cool? What is that one?
This is everybody knows this as the cast iron plant. It was a Victorian plant. Everybody had it in their dark, dingy parlors. But it was all green, and they called it the cast iron plant just for that reason, because you couldn't kill it. But now they've come out with, there's a variegated striped one, which I don't have but would love, but this is called Milky Way because it has all the little specks like the stars. And it takes low light. You barely have to water it. It's a great plant.
And it's such a nice size. Now, will this get really, really big like the ferns can get with age?
It will, pretty much because these are very slow growing. They're kind of expensive. You'll probably pay a little more for something like this because it only grows a couple leaves. Each section is only going to grow a couple leaves a year. So it doesn't, it's not like, whoom, it's going to explode. It just kind of sits here for a while.
Oh, okay.
So that's especially if you have it lower light, it's just going to sit there a little.
And this could be up high or it could be down low because it's got some nice height to it and softness to it.
Yeah,
that's a really good. So this is cast iron plant, and this one is Milky Way.
Yes, called Milky Way, and it's an aspidistra. Aspidistra.
And how do you spell that, Lisa?
A-S-P-I-D-I-S-T-R-A. Aspidistra. I might be wrong later, but
no, we'll get it on there correctly. But that's a start. Now, Lisa, this one we see a lot in the garden centers. It's a bamboo?
It's called the lucky bamboo, but it's really a Dracaena.
How do you spell that?
Dracaena. Dracaena.
Okay, and
it's the same family as this. This is a limelight Dracaena.
Ooh.
And a lot of times you see these just a dark green. You'll see them in the corner. That's another go-to plant like the Aglaonema that's stuck in a corner and it's dark and it's in offices and it takes anything. But now they make them in like this hot chartreuse color, my favorite, of course, called limelight.
Yeah.
But this is the same family. This is also a Dracaena, which you can kind of tell from the leaf. Looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But they've just trained them to
to
do
that
things.
kind of thing.
Yes.
And it's sitting in water.
It's sitting in water, yeah. Just sitting in water.
And does it produce other shoots or any? I mean, it's going
well,
this
like
way,
this,
but do you?
it was just this shoot when I got it, so it started a new shoot. But sometimes you'll get them and they'll start getting yellow. Sometimes they'll start dying back. And if you cut them back to a healthy place, they'll sprout again.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
They're easy to sprout.
And that is just so, to me, it's more of a contemporary look, right? That's why they're so popular.
Yeah, and it's just kind of and it's, I think, with the feng shui. Is that
Yes,
that
feng
was
shui.
The feng shui,
Right.
movement. That
Right.
was the thing. You should have a lucky bamboo to make things lucky.
I see. Okay. Who else? Let's get this guy out here because that's...
Well, this is another, a lot of people do not like what we call the mother-in-law's tongue.
Yes.
So Sansevieria.
Okay.
Sansevieria are I have probably 20 different varieties. This is a new one. I just got this. It's called, is this Fernwood? Yes. This one's called Fernwood.
Cool.
And it, it comes in this little, and it's already got new sprouts.
Cool.
So, but it goes out in the sunroom, so it's got lots of room.
Yes.
Or lots of light, I'm sorry. This is the Sansevieria. It's the bird nest type. So they're shorter and they kind of look like little birds' nests. So, and this is called Golden Honey. That's one of my favorite plants. And this one is called Twister because it twists. So these are all Sansevierias, and I also have another little one right here. I don't know the name of this. I'm sorry to tell you.
Cute.
Someone gave it to me.
Yep.
So this is also a Sansevieria. So you can't just write off a plant because it's the mother-in-law's tongue. It's a snake plant. Everybody has it. They put it in dark corners, and it's just there.
Right.
It's just, you see them everywhere. But there's so many different varieties of it that it's hard to believe it's all the same family.
And again, now this is a plant that can tolerate lower
Low light,
lights.
yes.
And tolerates staying dry for a long time.
Definitely. Do not overwater a Sansevieria. My daughter just sent me a picture of her friends. She gave her a Sansevieria, and she's like, Mom, what's wrong with it? And the leaves, 2 of the leaves are just bleh. And I'm like, it's too much water, and they just rot. And it's not a friendly smell. I'm going to let you know. It's awful.
What's this little guy right here? Because we're getting ready to finish.
This is a euphorbia. So this is a caudiciform euphorbia. So it has that, caudiciform means it kind of has a,
Pull this out here until you can get it.
it's got a bulbous stem.
Right
that holds
in here?
water. Yes, it's called a caudiciform.
Okay.
So this is it's a euphorbia, and it's the same family as poinsettia.
I'll be
A
darned. Yeah,
poinsettia is also a
in the
euphorbia
family.
And there's lots of they're all succulents.
Look at
and
that.
there's a lot of different kinds of euphorbias. I collect those as well.
Oh boy. Well, now Lisa, do you have any issue when you have something like this? Because this white reminds me of spider mites being on plants.
No,
This doesn't have
that's the way it blooms. But spider mites in the winter in Michigan are awful.
And
they love palm trees. They love if you bring a palm in, you're going to have spider mites. My brother sent me a picture of his palm. He said, "Can I fix this?" It was covered with webs. It looked like it'd been ran through a spider web. And plus it had scale. I'm like, no, let's just get rid of it. But that was all the thing with the moisture. That's with the pebble trays.
Okay.
Spider mites only go to dry plants. They love dry plants with dry atmosphere in Michigan with our heaters running all the time.
Yep.
So it's good to have,
the humidity around the plant.
And when and also humidity, you get humidity when you put all your plants together. So if you bunch your plants together, there's going to be more humidity. Put them on a big, if you have a bunch of plants, you could get a huge pebble tray and put your plants on them.
Yep.
But don't let them sit in the water because they'll rot.
Right.
You just want them to be on top of the pebbles so that that humidity is coming up. And you want it to have obviously be a bigger tray than the plant so that water's coming up around the plant. Correct.
Lisa Steinkoff, thehouseplantguru.com.
Yes.
Y'all can find out more about her and how to take care of your plants and enjoy it because this lady knows it all.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here today. We enjoyed it so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for coming.
You're welcome.
All right.
Well, this is Mil Hurley with Points of Horticulture. We'll see you next time.